feeling the breadth of Haitian climate is a little cold, if you will. And then at some point during the
okay, I'll warm up to it. Maybe I'll try it. And then I'm like,
cake.
Well, then, yeah, actually last week my family was
attempting to reduce a relationship to a text-based exchange because it is
texting
sending
it up
memes.
as friends. Let's back off of memes because that was just me being slower than traditional therapy, which ranges from $150 to $300.
They are.
First thing I observed was just a general attitude.
I think people will be breaking up with holograms, and that will count. I think that'll do that. I ain't broke to this level of communication. So we're clear we're gonna be.
I'm trying to have a friendly conversation with my buddy for the first time ever on
act. And yeah, Feldman, catfishing is a great example of that.
It's just that he went in, he took a dump, you know? And more.
Now we've been
to summer camp with that person, and now we're just like, they're just floating out. And that's not as an opening.
Their thumbs in we have amongst our friends.
Oh yeah.
And we cross-texted in the middle of this. This is the point where I didn't answer your question.
I mean, this is kind of revealing. I'm getting a little self-conscious now. It's like I'm talking about my hot tub again. I'm like,
it's ultimately true in friendships, but it kind of is really
that far. If it wasn't for that preamble that she's
yeah
in the car,
or
it's like, why are you helping me with my seatbelt?
Or you hugged me when you saw.
So let us know what you think. Join the conversation.
But I'm also not necessarily text or arguing with them. You get this text and
friends being 2 days ago. Yeah.
For more details and tickets to the fair, go to ncstatefair.org.
I prefer many times to type things.
Added that component of actually being in the same space, you know, having
this schedule of coming to an office and having meetings. And
I'll dwell on it in a second. In the real world question. But they're
about working with BetterHelp ever since we heard about.
Maybe we can find ourselves
care about them as much as they care about me or whatever, or I don't care about this group. And we have
the details of the story.
Their neuroplasticity is way higher.
I was just making a joke.
And so I said,
like you said it, right. But I wouldn't have said
exactly. I wouldn't have guessed a diagram of good tastes. I think I have a
on what we had to deal with, but
that leaves.
Who knew that I was before yesterday? But
if you begin to conduct your relationships exclusively on text, and what I think you put it in brackets.
I actually put in brackets.
You would have said it.
Yeah, people don't do that. Huh?
I don't think the kids know where brackets are. Believe that's how the evolutionary tree breaks down. But saying is completely during face-to-face conversation. Humans,
it's like we say
because every older generation like to send an opening written communication as friendship and romantic relationship. You get recognized as Rhett from Rhett and Link.
By him.
But then by not. There's, in fact,
might have a couple of context of this conversation.
It's not gonna go away. They're gonna keep doing it. And I think that didn't seem like the time or the place. What happened?
Sorry, which we're not.
That is an apology or an explanation. And because I can see it right now. Text, that's not what I do. And then we were like, us too. So we've got this connection, but I really need braces.
Oh, but you know,
advantages are, but
stick for greatness. Beard, Rhett.
And in the picture, we're
you have a chin strap.
We thought it would be a good.
Make you feel like
about Jason Isbell. Want me to send you GIFs. Before humans evolved the ability to speak. So you have iPhone that were water face-to-face communication is the basis of mythical.store/dark web. Nah,
my
I don't
point
think that's how you get to
2 or to 5 close friends. By the way, I was reading that with the VIP area, or was it lame?
Each other's presence and you've had time to cool off and you're not just sitting there across from the person that the last time you were with them you and 35%, the 93% of communication of you and you send me GIFs of me.
No, I want you to be you and me be me.
Majorly inappropriate.
Yeah. Regimented schedules.
I don't know of anyone else who has
2 hours of focused
fact. Science says it, deal with it. I'll give a meme too.
With 12 other people, I mean, there's still like 5 that do most of the texting, but
is text
by Rhett, and I politely declined for reasons that I'll get into.
You know, because if somebody's got halitosis, that kind of becomes 100%. Whereas I don't use texting in this way
Ever.
Never have.
Never had conversation. How was the concert last night? That's a first. Text thread to ask a pure.
If those prices, which are affordable, are not affordable to you on your particular
Barnes & Noble, you go, don't you ever go by the set?
approximately.
Yeah.
And so I think that we began to perceive
Across our lives, our kids' lives,
right,
our friends' lives.
and whether about her life, but she's also interested in potentially speaking. And 7% content.
Pass it to the relationship. We're gonna share it with you.
It's a little Luddite-ish, but
Uh-oh.
I
You more than me because, you know.
isn't that unusual
No,
for you to send.
This is some actual life stuff happening within a text
sometimes
thread.
down and they had to break up and become new groups.
And so, in so many ways, of course, but when it more frequent contact,
Because we've experienced
it, understand our demographic and
they contribute in this way. It's not normal. We don't do it with anybody. It's not just related to what you're
The words coming out of your
9 to 5. Like we're areas and
did you get recognized? ...
receive. And I think the same thing. I think I don't need therapy is what I would have said a year ago, in which they are.
Gravedigger would not be present.
Little Bigfoot.
Little Bigfoot will be present.
This conversation. Two Homo sapiens talking to each other. The teaser.
Well,
there's a little bit of a misdirection.
Are you saying that because
Very wrong. It is very subscription to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere.
it's a legitimate form of connection? Friendly
Yeah.
conversation starter.
We do
like the layers go out of how connected you actually are to them.
perceive this group. There's a study that shows. This is in the journal. Sit down and text. Kind of freaked up.
Was the type of thing that there were concerns.
Partly that, but it tends to be places that have had a lot of.
That we've all connected in this way, that we spend a lot of time
She said.
resistant to, whereas called anymore address book, contacts.
Yeah, it hasn't changed that much.
I could see
7%, but definitely a minority of what you're communicating to someone.
when we're talking about ourselves.
And there's no. Where's the? Well. Now,
Let's continue this conversation. This we're hard.
and there is an ebb and flow. It's not. The world isn't contrary of message. Now, Albert, I don't know, but I understood what you were implying, which is, hey, I'm asking you. Lyricist? Is that a more? Is that a less? You know, when you get a text from somebody,
Let's communicate to each other. You see,
but only GIFs.
oh man, we're completing.
Yeah. Well, you also said wow, and then said a sentence about being a dad.
And then recently, a text to you. I had. Yeah. All right. I just like the slow ones. Whereas by being connected, I mean, there's a certain level of.
Same effect as if it was like a hot girl with.
It does show our age.
Well, because John Mayer is one of the best. Say that one time, my out of text is like having a cake, super convenient and easy. It's much easier.
An ad in this podcast. That's really what matters. Okay. Where was
Context of modern society.
hello?
Let me text you something.
Wish I could make her bark.
A relationship can give you the sort of a thesis of touching my own book in public.
Or like sitting there waiting for our iPhones to take up
He literally said, this generation of teenagers, this is an 8-year-old speech,
to further connection to us.
like putting, if I had to choose between,
So for us, how does that impact your relationship?
but, because that was the size of,
I was like, well, and then they just start talking on it.
end up getting together and talking through some of the things that were texted and.
I mean, if you want to build real friendship, let's put a pin in this. And welcome to Ear Biscuits. I'm Link.
And I'm Rhett. Okay, end of conversation. I do not need to respond to this last.
I can see that,
Man, we got the same phone.
and you Duncan did it.
Okay, so what's the problem? What are the nostril and like Polish sausage and another nostril?
Yes.
I love the way those two things.
The mean things.
Well,
Or versus
for those who can't afford it.
dipping our toe in. We're doing a freaking.
I'm going at least
Hour and-
knee deep.
We're doing a mythical beast. Who am I kidding?
It's time of who you are. Communicate
Here later.
You feel like you're connected, but ultimately if you're not actually having face-to-face on the phones before, but again, I don't dislike. Maybe they think that I don't.
5 close friends, then like 15 at the next layer, and
Right.
And so when I went on there, I was like, you know what? Their friendships in
a couple 100,000 years. So
we're severely.
Do you hug yourself in the? These stats come from Psychology Today. Feel like a cake, but when you kind of go into it, there's less substance.
Gives you a little boost.
I don't camp out, and they keep saying it's gonna happen. Posted to YouTube.
Please do. So no fans.
It's not important.
And then
58% is of the communication.
How utilizing technology and our phone.
Somebody who says, I'm not gonna text at all, and I'm just gonna
change. You don't even have a. You helped me with my seat belt. Said.
Some moisture to the whole thing, and so I do think that if texting is
like a lot of, I'll couch it that way. Is that the opposite extreme? That
so, and I said it, the group dynamics began to break that you spend with each other, but then the icing on the cake that
reflected on, and she actually
the information at the pace that you want without interrupting.
There's a whole slew of problems and challenges that come along with that are easily avoidable.
A bit more serious, and somebody would
for years after that, sometimes still now on a whim, it was not only clear, it was very powerful.
Okay, good.
And you know what?
No need to dwell on it.
What
for a relationship, and that is actually your contact and your real face-to-face conversations and your quality time. Exchange information, but conversations like, how was your day?
This theme song is the way it is, because that's what
and he was like, I just love the lyrics.
Oh, you started talking over text, or you helped
their index fingers, and they're basically the conversation that we've never had had a great.
A friendly text exchange is being douchey. It's only douchey.
And then what happened again up to our kids and the way that they are different than us. I thought a good way to get into this and face-to-face contact. I don't know what the research indicates on video.
We need to come back to that thought, okay?
Yeah, we need to get through this so we can get to the analysis.
Just say, hey, I want
to talk to my kids about this because I would have never, I knew that all
text with no agenda.
In relationships, in friendships,
I think I'm not trying to get into.
No, that was in the VIP area. Again, very confused.
I knew you would be.
In their texting. So you're texting some type of video.
As if we were talking in mouth. Because we're animals.
Right.
You know, we've wow, I mean the things.
And if there's an issue that because I had been sitting down texting for multiple minutes, and I never do this. I don't just it's me.
Yeah, so we felt self-conscious, but I did notice, even though I
see you and I'm like, I kind of not. To use the analogy that another guy under age 50, and Americans send 5 times as many texts as.
And even if it's a lot over text as a friend. So I'm not talking.
So I brought everybody live.
We have. You can only really spirit of that mindset. I mean, are you to where you get to 7%, 18 to 22 year olds would rather text
in the Northeast, but this is a different show. This is going to be relationships, texting in the context of short of that.
And what happens with that, by the way?
It's when like you meet a girl online.
So much more connected to that, to the difference between like getting along with people, like
7%, more than 8 out of 10 kids changing. Even as now that I've turned.
Okay, we'll skip this.
We're gonna skip over this part.
No, I think that ultimately using the tools properly, our kids is an affordable and convenient way to receive therapy and counseling.
You got
we have our protocols of relationship really sell what just happened.
Okay, yeah. Hot tub, just so the music goes away, and then I bring it back up. Just to exchange it at the end, we're gonna get into talking about the way that we've kind of related.
And apparently our friendship.
Again, even though we are now face-to-face, what's the name of a monster truck? Bigfoot?
So at this point, am I making this
of K?
Which, if you saw, that was like a theatrical presentation.
We are doing the tour of Mythicality.
Really?
Yes. Then I talked about, and again, this is
of our friendships. It's something that I've been very
of like.
There is a bigger question, which I want.
What people are saying,
and it's professional therapy.
But I've never heard you say on the world average only 6 minutes of
and increase the quality
via text. They're asking to go out via text. They're saying,
via text where I should be relaxing, chilling out on a Saturday afternoon, but it's difference between who's an acquaintance and who's an actual meowing and purring. It was gentler.
cats?
Cat-like. Of you, the moment you bought your very...
The douche loop.
loop.
Rounding the turn on the...
calling you.
Yeah.
And then I'll take the picture.
It's a cool thing to do still. And our positive, convenient and easy. And that's why we do it. And you know what? It's not going away.
Sending gifs of myself to my friend Rhett.
From one douche to follow the links in the description.
You can abuse
Something happening in your brain. You're rewarding yourself for this pitfalls. Well, and where do they stem from? According to UCLA professor,
to have that friendly love. I mean, you're gonna
it's out because you have a chance to kind of center yourself and move through the different factors that you are relying on for communication when you are having a face-to-face.
Start to get into things.
The story is, I guess it's some combination of texting and
Very first iPhone.
And it was the moment you bought your. I told you before this started that I don't think it's how old we are. I think it's a combination of how old we are. It's not the tour of mythicality. Okay. If they're picking up what you're laying down, it is based on, you can extrapolate that and say that if you're under 18, that number is definitely higher than 77%. So it's safe to. Could you send me $3,000 so I can get braces?
But you never meet in person.
Okay, I went with it. I said great. He puts on.
It's available to help you with stress, anxiety, depression, relationship problems.
They both came at 1:45 p.m. I said, and the lyrics of a, I don't want to say Western.
My good buddy Rhett and I, penning things. We slept on it, and then I had to go to work. But then she sent me a text.
Became an argument. So there was a couple of things that were misunderstood. Sometimes just for kicks. He's not present. You ultimately, people like the book.
And then I responded, and the things reviewers are writing about
the reason we do it is because it's
ships that started, or I mean, even continued for long periods of time. There was
a couple of
times. It wasn't an
argument,
but it was different. Whoa! This is a little more than.
It makes the cake even better. It makes the cake what it is, at least in the.
I just kind of like to look at the fact that we have a book in there, so I'm going to do that.
Just
to
remind myself, I'm a publisher. Well, we kind of went through what I think is that. So you're given the freedom to switch therapists at any time. I
decided to change the subject, and I just said.
For why that's the case, but prefer texting over all forms of communication.
And I just
because of the plasticity of our brains, especially always happen in person. Okay.
Never done it. Older post-college audience.
Texting about the same kind of things, you're texting as often as each other. Text is the most used form of communication for adults.
Our very first text relationships, and which you're fortunate to have. Married couple. The reason why we're liking old married couple is that we have certain going through my mind based on a conversation we had last night. I'm not gonna call it an argument, but it was
it's kind of like seeing yourself in the mirror. Do you talk like this? And here's the thing. And I said that I wasn't gonna stop and
I'm just gonna throw that out there. Having a conversation over text and just need a little when we try to get the other person to smell something. You say
that we don't talk. As my kids and your kids and you on the banana boat being pulled behind kids, teenagers and younger, if you've got a phone, more than 77.
Hey, I think he's great. I think he's great. I like all of his hard songs. That's an absolute first. Tag ear biscuit.
That is 7% of our communication capabilities, meaning that
I think that there's an exercise in seeing your friendships and you get recognized. It's like, oh, people who have good. I want to see a supercut to see if that's true or not, because that's a big.
How do you break down communication? What was 40? I kind of feel like I'm continuing to change.
We're so self-aware of our, like the parameters.
Is texting ruining our friendship?
No.
That this person would be getting if it was a face-to-face conversation is not.
Simultaneously stroke my ego and get some work accomplished.
And communication, but are you really Salvo? And now let's talk about it.
And I'm like, I'm going deeper. I'm gonna make a
financial success, and everybody has a smartphone. But it's interesting because a lot of these people in these places have 8 to 7% of who someone else is.
I was like,
sounds like a couple
of generic. I think we
just music verbal exchange.
La 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 la.
But
I ironically am doing. It's not like something that we do in our relationship.
helpful, very purposeful.
Yeah, and that's wow, Dad. I had to swim down there and retrieve my
And
glasses.
I know you're scared of going to the bottom of the pool.
Anytime, so you have flexibility to do counseling on your schedule, and it costs. We've developed over the past.
Texting from the 93%, and but then I said, but sometimes when you're not in Fiji, and I had my phone out. No, it was when I was time. You start
Now what we have are, you have those active friends, which there may be
increasing relational stability and satisfaction, because
tackling some odd issues when it comes to sin.
because we have actually benefited from this text thread that was
Come
she had it
through.
locked and loaded in the notes app and just copy and pasted it.
And it was
Acknowledge you.
right. The loved ones in your life on Kindle. The Kindle app
You know, we got a lot of left brain going on as well. We just at natural
before. And again, I do think we just lick the microphone. Did you hear that?
That's my voice, not hers.
And we're just kind of dipping our toe in. Well, we're not romantically. I just think that being able to.
Yes. So there is a risk that if you are relying,
Because
I
it's
love
like
it, man.
I think it's like 2 weeks.
Closeness, brain are not involved in terms of the way that you're responding. There, you talk about this in person. There's people kind of wanted to bail on the text thread. I even sent that text.
Kids about the conversations that they're having,
Mm-hmm.
and there's
Offer financial assistance. What I'm talking about is not catfishing, but just like, oh, we had this connection, and this can happen. Else podcasts are available
to watch more.
of what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
So if there's a way to take that out of the equation. So me personally, someone who I would have told said, well, the conversation ended. Because what I meant to music going, and I just put my
At the NC State Fair, October 12th, 7:30 p.m.
so anyway, maybe that
And see if therapy with loans can
contextualize this for the people listening, because
punch of as someone like first aid kit,
our business.
right? Because
So we talk about it.
if we both
Or how was the concert last night? A couple of things that were said, and a few times generation of teenagers, they're beginning and ending romantic relationships via text. They're breaking up. They allowed that.
he loves it, man. Oh, but instead I took offense.
Yeah.
Like I took pseudo offense. I thought it.
I don't know how many people.
Oh yeah,
you know.
another.
Now let me just create a popular belief. I'm gonna go back into
Bigfoot will not be present.
Grave digger.
only enhance things, because one of the things I find that the time was like 8 years old, which I think is a little bit of a mischaracterization. Sometimes people kind of pitched in and said, "This is
Dad, I'm trying to.
It's
Great.
just ready for you to text."
I mean, it was difficult to get that in the middle of the day, but ultimately it was better.
therapist, and the way I hinted at in the past, like the way that I am the research, which we're going to continue to get in.
On stage, while etc. It's probably the best place to go to understand our old. Instead of saying smell that
Dark web, then.
douche loop. I like douche loop better.
Yeah, we'll put that in the dark. Is that it makes
Friendly love, not romantic love.
friendly
Even
love.
venture to guess that anyone who has a successful
The people in the group are super creative, and
they don't have and I said, so yes, you are saying that
because you misunderstood what I.
metal guitar type thing. Just a real great guy. Weird mustache
Probably that the kids are doing in this generation. This gen a really good show.
stuff, right?
And-
Well, I'm not gonna do this
Well, they were doing things. I was video token. I ain't got
with 7%.
and relate to using text as a form of communication. They're all
He was in
bathroom.
Trader Jan's bathroom.
Right.
And sometimes you're just sitting around looking at call it that. I mean that undermines everything we're saying.
Can we put that on a T-shirt? Can we sell that?
Yeah.
Right, that would be different.
It's a friend who's somebody who's gonna be there for you.
Start an online relationship with somebody you think there's an incredible connection, because again,
We've got this we got this thread. It's like literally
it isn't. I probably will get like a super cut of me saying "smell of that."
till we're together. I'll be there for you. It right now.
The research suggests that text-based I'll just read.
House party.
Video chat is very common. Eyes, how connected they are based on if there's symmetry.
Most people, and I think younger people, or what I'm afraid
for us. It's
we've established that, and then you're there
is contagious.
for a relationship in the real world.
Reading it publicly.
It's kind, but it starts with from me.
That's a great idea. But first, we want to come to this because what I
Oh man, it's awesome. But what happened was I think the thing, I'm sure they have to.
I didn't know.
He's washing his hands and then a woman walks in, and it was,
I mean, the kids do it. All right, we think it's really funny and we love all you guys, but we just don't. We don't naturally.
Your phone, and you're like, I want to save until we explore multiple avenues, trying to chime in, and I find myself absolutely paralyzed.
Is get admission into the fair, and you can show up there to watch.
Very end
Okay.
and see.
If there's a situation where there's some conflict, I typically.
Christy and I actually did that last week. I totally forgotten about it within the. I don't have that station.
So, but
like a knot will be removed, and then
is that yes, there are deficits, but there's also text, and I think this
my cow dung wafting in. It's
like
right.
Cow dung and one knot that kind of connect.
This can't happen. It's deep work. I mean, that's like I said.
Great. I mean, this is a good thing. We're just celebrating the fact that this is good because I think ultimately what happened the other day
by technology to have a lower capacity for connection.
I guess that you were the one who said it, and
I mean it
mostly through your phone, not speaking into it, but typing.
For what?
To get money from you, to just get off on it. Back into some of the like personal. We'll analyze that text exchange. Have an argument, and
yeah,
we becoming a therapist at some point or exploring those options, and then a big part of my
get the specifics of their conversations. I talk to my.
You go to the prom with me via text.
That is an imbalance.
And I gotta say, listen, and we're not saying that it should go away, and memes into the text.
It's like what am I? A 12? It got new. World romantic relationship.
And I don't know. Again, I don't know the data. 58% body language, 35% vocal tone, pitch, and emphasis. The way that you're.
I'll be there for you.
Right.
Shallow.
And the 400 unit played at the Greek Theater. I was like, okay, Ling wants to talk. Weird.
And
I have seen the human communication into this tiny little slit that
have when it's conducted.
Similarity in texting styles was linked to relationship satisfaction.
He goes multiple times just to go.
Yeah, I'd camp out there.
He experienced. You can only
exactly computers and human behavior. The study found
I got
rock songs.
Us.
Yeah. Well, and
so then I screenshot one of those and sent it technology, text, social media. Let me explain. I'm gonna read this text thread to you. I have it on my phone. I've told you about it, so you have it on your phone.
Was the basis of connecting.
And let's bring it back to friendship and our kid.
Today, someone will instigate a text conversation.
Friend is, man. Horrible at this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, hashtags are used, and
this is the percent. The ... indicates a pause, but when you send it all as one text, it just I see it all together. So it's 7% for content of message.
Ouch. Then so he's typing
again,
which doesn't show up in the.
This if you break up via hologram.
I don't want to beat a dead.
I believe in fact, a lot of times, even though I can.
If there's any ultimate conclusion that can.
But we do not use texting, and we use text to.
So I mean, weeks they were, and I pulled up my phone and acted like I was talking on it. It's like a little blip blip and a blip blip.
Region when it comes to texting.
Have fun texting each other. The memes.
Mm-hmm. But it is exclusive of communities of our ancestors.
And they would not prefer to give up.
And it may actually.
It can be video, phones, but still, I might would have gone. You're gonna have problems.
Yeah.
I mean, where to have
this one sort of form winning friendships is the inadequacy of text-only communication.
It can't be the center, the cakey time that we're just like text bait.
Personally, it's been helpful to her.
Yeah.
The thing, and you were like, "Hey, do you?"
Yeah. So I hope to
Never be taught. Called douchery is contagious. Yeah, we'll sell it on the douche loop.
Little Bigfoot.
we all see each other, you know?
Which is very unusual in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I heard all of them, and so did Shepard. But one thing she did say is
I
one of
actually
the
forgot
greatest
that.
honors of my life.
I didn't know that.
On a really good show, but again,
That's not the point of this.
I didn't expand beyond. And I'm like, okay, well maybe I have been, and I don't want to be that guy. You know, it was just a conversation.
And
Take a small break.
here is a commemorative.
Yeah, complimenting each other's babies.
But that on my coffee table.
The study found that
The complete ability to communicate. That added a fat picture of each other and store our contact information in our iPhones. And that picture has not, just to go back to the story,
Yeah.
With our friend group,
nothing.
totally true.
I was also doing
Okay.
nothing at the time.
Oh, that's great.
I was sitting somewhere in my house. And capture what you're trying to communicate.
Not perfectly, I'm there. I'm like pressing.
Yeah, and I was like, a couple of people. The time I wrote that, I didn't expect to be thinking about potentially, she's super interested in it, right? It adds back to everyone. I thought it was just for me and you.
Right.
Holograms, man. But holograms will be able to perfectly, you would be able to picture what they look like when they were talking to you, which is on a phone.
And
We're creative. This is what we do for a living, but given our
relationship.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think
For me personally, therapy has been have somebody react
handicapping our ability to,
out braces.
well, but his teeth are straight, right?
When the hosts of Catfish show up, that's when
There's an opportunity for us. You know, I think
But because somebody else in the group was like, "I'm sorry, I don't."
you really can't have more than 150 friends at any level, like at acquaintance level. And now I'm on a roll relationally. I'm like, that's a good sign.
Here,
Sure.
it's on my terms. It's on my time, and I feel like
It makes it worse? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You said.
weird. May look and is ultimately, and it's kind of what just happened with us at the beginning.
Use hashtag. How can we utilize these reviews?
Do definitive. It's based on like a bunch of studies kind of together, analyzed, and people come into conclusions about those.
What impacts friendships?
Yes, we'll get to that.
About work again? Like
Was adding to my previous answer, but it came later.
BetterHelp can help. You can find, are they being short-circuited? Text too little either.
Text too little.
Don't
'cause
do that.
You want to be in the Goldilocks.
He goes multiple times.
So you could be compared with phone call.
Yeah, and people having access who we're going to see soon. Of course, but I'm having second thoughts about this, me and you, like, I think they have their own text there too. I don't know that for sure, but I think it
Speaking of douchebags,
can be, there's a level of
them.
Yeah.
Because therapy is something, well, we've never talked.
I was like, I look forward to continuing our conversation, and
Mm-hmm.
once you really get in it with somebody, like
Our own thoughts, and I think it does set up
the quality of a relationship you can,
in the same way as.
but fans, and I
Now we did.
even including spell check.
We are fun. That is icing only.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, but not.
The link in the description below, actually, in this video. Again, that's BetterHelp.com. It made me feel good. It's like, wow, you know what? By the way, since I'm in here, it's kind of like you go to him
I thought
section to see if our book's in there.
I have.
Kind of.
Yeah. When the host of Catfish. So there's a show on MTV. You should watch it. And this may be a little bit. It may be cowardly. Sitting there seeing these texts.
We're not being douche.
I'll send a meme to you.
Because this text exchange
Of different. In 1 second, we do want to let you know that we are going to be at the ends.
it was performing, he like
I can say what I want to, and I don't have to see your immediate reaction. It's so
well, if you just keep the conversation each other.
I think for us, it's definitely a great thing.
What if
I
we
think
did
it will
that?
own.
This is gonna be a freaking bona fide concert, y'all.
But at that point, you are getting body language, and you are getting voice.
And that
Comedians. Wow.
She said a lot of things throughout the evening, and I, in the world isn't going to hell in a handbasket.
I think you're saying Albert correctly.
During
But I'm saying I don't think I do.
and
I
what
said,
I'm not bragging. I'm just relating things to link here chats. And Jason is one of my favorite artists, and I've seen Jason, and their brains are parts of their brain in your mythical best. Your Biscuits is brought to you by BetterHelp.
Yes, I am super.
Lyricist of all time as well. So in
Oh, is he?
2018, get with it, kids.
Never changed the picture.
Uh,
And look at it. This picture, we wouldn't have gotten near.
did.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that, all these things that serve as visual and
Like a mildly inappropriate GIF. This is town, but you don't live there anymore. You're visiting, and then you've got all across Facebook excited to share about BetterHelp.
again, in case you didn't,
But society, as they grow up, are just growing into
the NC State Fair.
I think that there's a third person we can do it, like when Mike from back in North Carolina texts into the
Yeah,
person.
if you broke up with somebody via text, you're still not
If you happen to be in the same
communication level of difficulty that you're meant to say was, I wouldn't have guessed it, but I am saying that I don't think I
are not appropriate to go into here, so we're not going to do that. But the only point and you know
and
what?
to conduct a relationship. I think a combination of text communication and face-to-face communication can be
Right? But evolved in a warm fuzzy little ego stroke.
Don't text too much. Don't. Phone's waterproof? I was like, yeah, so is yours.
Get into his driving rock song.
Thought, okay. This is someone we still, listen, guys.
Maybe should, before we'll read the rest of this text here, let's start simple. Let's just start with a few.
We're not.
And then I'm like, did you get recognized?
Yeah, but you gotta continue.
Yeah, once you told me that my phone was waterproof.
Link's had 2 generations you're talking about, and we did it before the friend group.
If you're into that, commemorative. Our conversation.
No,
and
imagine where he got that.
from the pool.
Oh, dad move.
I had to.
And
Gotta
see
know.
if the Gorilla Glass will hold up.
Gotta know.
Like India, a lot of people have smartphones and computers.
We did if it wasn't
If
for
it weren't
the
for
accelerated
that text thread, already existent relationship.
And at a certain point, I'll explain into my contacts. Anyway, we have
to their
on our we might want to do more concerts.
We'll see how it goes, man.
Because I thought that would be cool.
Yeah. It would have been cool in like 2015.
And then
It was like, there's nothing there in person. Can you go back to Brazil so we can text? Again, there's text thread just so we don't feel weird about memeing each other. I think we'll just turn it that you may think it sounds weird.
and for
It made sense to me.
that's the very first picture I ever took put in there. And then right from the beginning, they created a text thread.
I was saying, and at that point I didn't respond.
No, you were saying that I did, and you did. Mostly in that way, or
Seeing someone that we both know.
where when we conduct our friendship, and then we'll do that.
Right.
I
Texting on my phone, but text-based communication, email, is something that I like to let you know. That there's, but they're talking to each other via video chat, and I don't know.
but I appreciate it so much more as
And then you found out you got catfish. But even sort of funneling,
like a measuring.
spicy one,
It was great because, we had to put
unprecedented for a book with that many ratings.
to a point where you've got dormant friends who you can reconnect with.
It's an opening volley that gives you the opportunity to then go and take the conflict.
I'll tell them to. I'll say, hold up your phone like I'm to really love Jason and Isabel.
Okay.
Distant, where they were. It was more like that. We're dealing with something.
Plane, because I think that when I think about
The kids of the adults in the group.
going through with any of these things, BetterHelp can help you as well.
And Link do their thing on stage.
Sir Albert Morabian. Yep. So I don't know what the moral of
We have to get together to finish this
for
conversation.
the better and kind of knowing myself better, and that has been primary.
Parameters of our relationship. If we do something that's
Link will be riding in on the back of little Bigfoot.
all right, that's it.
Need to deal with.
My mom's husband Lewis, boy, it's the highlight of his year. Next, but I wouldn't say how was it. Let's have a legitimate friendly
is a bit
with the heart and the mind via text and just hitting a wall and saying
it has to do with the way that we've scheduled our day.
Yeah.
A lot of I think it's contagious. I think douchey parents about it, and my dad's
exchange.
or a tendency to, and my wife calls me out on say, the reason I said that is because a drunk woman behind me said it during the concert. So I participating in the text thread. I think I began to think that maybe pronouncing that wrong. Him because
Hey, with the which is significantly low. You know, that's why the friends
as close as you does that.
Right. Me neither.
Right.
But if we were, it wouldn't be to each other because
Share something that they. I don't know what the percentage. I was also too, because I never really looked at this. I had just
something that's been purely for logistics. Like, we may even go far as oh yeah, because you did not get the notification. Conversation is friends over text.
Not present when you're sending a text message, and so
when you're shallower and text-based, and it's an illusion.
Well, especially excited. I'm not trying to diminish that. I'm just saying that the risks.
I would her thoughts. So then, we were that much further along.
Wherever texting daily. So the texting at this rate, true friend at one point, and was like, "Can we just talk about this in person?" Well, and sometimes being able to communicate when you're not to mix.
Yes. A lot of nostalgia, and it digitally.
Right, but when you questioned the greatness of Jason Isbell because of his driving, part of their brain that controls that fine motor skills, I don't want to get there yet because I think right now what we're exploring.
Because just another word about the creative associated with it, which we're developing currently.
Oh, the creative.
I have it from a weird place, right? As evidenced by.
I'm saying is what I'm
versus deep. I have my phone in my hand and friendship, and they're set. So anything that deviates from that, like having
go to sleep and we wake up and we're either communicate the dark web.
But we can't characterize us having.
Not at you a little.
Yeah,
if I even acknowledge.
We can apply to our own friendship.
Sure, I think things. I did not respond to it. Thought conversation's over. It was an exchange of information, and I didn't know how to contribute. And
it never has been for us.
Yet that I know of. All our friends are huggers, and like
right.
We see 33% of adults and 77% of 18 to 20.
On live chat, messaging, you're given unlimited communication with your therapist, but you don't.
Monster truck announcer because
you just did.
Heard, and also I think.
You know, because we got.
I'm not. You may not be omniscient, and this may not be.
On one hand, tell the difference.
But you did just.
When we just talk, it will change because you left out the negative.
Right, that could happen. But 30 years from now, I
for someone to come up and.
I'm not an idiot. I'm not a douchebag.
And then I started reading the review. Hour and a half show, which is music.
Oh, space communication through it.
See, you're already bored with it. You hate it. Good years, but
in fact, it's absolutely the opposite.
I mean, I do.
That because we weren't them all the time, and, of
course, we hug them every time.
I hug them, and then I kind of go through everybody. Then illusion of
that.
It's not a 100.
Ads. Comedy duo Rhett and Link will be live.
An experience, and to get back to us, that I think.
I know it's easy, but it's too easy. It's too convenient. Things into it.
Yeah,
so we're another way to say it.
But we should.
And who thinks that this generation, in fact,
it's on a really good show. I said, I just can't get. We'll continue the conversation. I enjoy that. What do you say, Jade? Add you to it.
Mm-hmm.
Added our wives to it.
Because I would be my phone would just be bzz, bzz, once they got going. Understand? When you're talking to someone and you're communicating to them, what their phone under the surface of the.
If they would prefer to text versus anything else.
Just the right amount, right? And so, but you want to have a cake. You want to have a real foundation.
See,
and I think
can't. All outside in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm. People are doing
it's like doing his homework. He's got his phone propped up on his home, like you, because it made me feel really
when
good.
You sent this to me,
this is from Hammerton. Pen pal based.
Yeah.
You know.
And I don't want a phone was waterproof and address it.
I was actually going
together.
And we've never went to. I mean, that's a result of this friend group too. Just to toss. I find myself. Really,
right? You could be like, you were in Brazil for, and you wrote that at one really sort of fall into
to like download. I wanted to start reading another book on.
I'm probably wrong on all counts.
In general, it's just a tool that you
about it. Personally, I don't think 75% of the world
only conversation right now. It'd be like,
on me.
Right.
I mean, like we have groups of friends, and
they'll be there for you, man.
I will tell.
Whole meaning of what you're saying.
Albert, Dr. Albert.
Currently in my hot tub, sending. Obviously, there are many successful.
Communication is in the body language.
Over half.
35%. Yeah, I've read some of those. Our rating is pretty.
Have a level of openness there.
I walk by there briskly and make eye contact with the book, but I don't touch it. I would never. He talked about a cake, and he was like, building a relationship. Once you get above that 36 p.m. And as you can see, I had assumed that. Ended up talking about that as a group in person, not on the text thread.
When we sat down.
Even the situation that we just brought up, we would have never gotten together. You were, I can communicate a lot. I can go into my monster truck.
Another level.
Panicking.
Because we're gonna text each other. I am so excited for us, Rhett.
You don't.
Her word is her bond.
I don't have independent verification of that, but
the group. And I mean, with instinctively, connection that they can have that we didn't.
And this is the problem with texting for relationships.
And I did not know this until I dove in the pool and then I swam up to where.
That's one of the great things about video chat. And I'm assuming at some point, they keep talking about it. Or me telling you that I got recognized is not so I can be like, hey.
For my kids, I'll put it in.
All you gotta do.
Cross in a pretty compelling way. Via text, face connection, you're not near. That was an interesting way to ask the question, because typically the pause uses
I experienced firsthand.
100% true, but I think that the gist is analysis.
Oh God, or at least the ad.
Yeah,
right?
we got to get to the ad.
We got
to pause each day. Now, just a quick side note, related, because I said Americans for a number of reasons didn't end up being able to go, but Jesse and Shepard and I.
We got into some. They don't remember a time when they didn't do that.
Right, but we had to transition into it.
Extremely important to us, and that's what makes us excited. So just a couple of notes. Bold choice.
By this point, I felt weird, and it creates a connection.
So we tried to
have the pitfalls, and I didn't even realize that this is why.
I think we can search in that thing and find ourselves.
Yeah, I've done it. A third of all adults prefer text to phone calls.
The very first text exchange between time together. Mm-hmm. I mean, on any two-week stretch.
The State Fair.
I want to do it like
and added me to it, add my Kindle per session.
Yeah, and matching you with a therapist that you connect with.
And had the rest of the conversation, which still was like, okay. And an interesting thing, a reminder, at the top of this, I can see your, and then I wrote, I had never actually gone into Amazon and read reviews of our book. And our kids and the rest of
society in November, and we never did. It didn't seem right.
Second, but just to clarify further, text has just been, if you haven't heard of it, or even if you have, listen up again. BetterHelp.
Or divorce and that kind of thing. And
stupid. But I don't know, man. I think, like if
to another
in this hot tub.
Now, one thing I will say that we didn't talk about.
Different perspectives.
So I wanted to send that, but I just went with it.
There's an overall trajectory towards the hell in a handbasket, all right? Come on.
No.
So yeah, we want you to go to this specific URL. So remember this for you. Salvo into the world of technology, texting, and how you just dove in with your glasses on. Your glasses are at the bottom.
Okay, so let me just say that the balance between the two, but first of all, you can't blame anybody.
Developed.
Douches talk.
Yeah, really does.
Yeah, but again, which is very appropriate. Wow, I'm a dad. Of yourself.
I wasn't outside. I came outside, and I had that lurking. I felt so.
Family's life, big part of my wife's life, and also she
feeling from the.
I wasn't going to get to this yet, but let me throw something in there because there's a study that shows,
Kiko, thank you for adding some sort of music bed
through therapy. So it's been a huge help to me, and I think that regardless if you're relying on who you are as a person, it's relying on 7% in a relationship. You are creating a false sense of intimacy.
Let's see, I have dug
In a
out.
relationship with them. That's having a bunch of stuff on our schedule and then going home. Everything's very regimented.
Of marriage or of a relationship and can obviously be applied to friendships. But you're old.
And I would observe it from a dim message like this.
This was
top in our conversation.
Because I started to get really hopeful. I'm like, man, it's like we don't see.
For the purposes of communication. And it doesn't mean that other parts of your, just interesting.
I want to analyze my kids and a thread of connection. Is that why they call it a thread?
Yep.
Screenshot of an Amazon review.
It's online, you can go and just analyze the different generations and like their propensity to drug abuse. And he puts on and closeness, but because that 93%,
You know what I mean.
I
though.
said the harder ones work well in person. He's got a really good band.
Singled you out.
And because we are not good at this relational texting, you can see speaking, we haven't changed much in when her dad was like, I love
I
it.
think it's how old we are. You know,
Well, let's not analyze it
Okay.
all throughout. Shouldn't we just talk
So I'm glad to be going back. All my family members are
to her dad, who she was with, her very first iPhone? Because
We were
I have a
together.
picture of you in the
and
same
the
place.
first thing we did when we got up in the Trader Joe's, and then he comes out. We should start with our
100% to 100% connection.
So
even
you're really only breaking up. It was funny, but I just thought you were being belligerent.
No,
like, well, I would have guessed it that it's a brain thing.
yeah,
Let's say it's a brain capacity thing that actually befriends a.
it's that you said that proof and didn't know it until we were in Fiji and all these texts person, and it's just a big dude in his basement. It doesn't have this love, and I'm pretty sure that I've never said it. Now, loves him. Like we play his songs all the time in the house, in the car.
That's like
Told me that when she was hanging out with Shepard, who again,
they so much. Even
I often am into a third douche. Is honestly what I think will happen. I think douche spreads. Idea if the picture of the person,
I'm not gonna dish dirt.
and then she was like, John Mayer says that he's the best lyricist of all time, Dad. Personally, and I know you don't like, I don't like cake without icing.
Of our book.
But you did just realize, like 3 weeks ago.
We try to see each other every week, but if we don't help my kids begin to understand that is the work, alarms start going off. It's like
I could have
friendship
filmed you in the bottom
could
of the
go
pool.
to
I think we've hinted at some things.
of noon.
Wanted to share with the group they were dealing with or whatever, and people would offer advice and perspective, and
Be like, what?
I mean, you could actually. Sometimes
At any
a good time. I'm having a good time, and sometimes things would get well.
when you limit it to that
We're-
7% comes to relationships.
Sometimes I throw my
Technology will focus in on social media
conversation. I'm not expecting textual communication back. It's like this is like my opening.
in an interactive.
Well, and
space.
our communication.
of us in private conversations, but
But it wasn't a brag. It was just a
taste in music also like
Got a picture.
And I'm like, yes. And then
His lyrics. The dad was obviously being introduced to Jason Isbell at the concert. Say was, well, I would have never said that you come through. I early on silented the conversation. A great way to get through conflict. You're just not getting smell and breath, which might be great. It's a popular narrative, but not true.
well, there's a general stopped everything and are hitting me up via text.
Well, I told my parents, I don't think that this is absolutely.
She like wrote out I was like, whoa, 2 paragraphs.
At this point, I'm like, this is weird. We're in a conversation.
It's not love, like
It's just some stats, you know me and the stats. Somebody.
a vocal.
And how we are, period. Reality most often, and then move on.
Let's keep going.
Let's get through.
About $65 a week. So this is just us working.
Between the two of us, I would exploring the question, is texting
To qualified therapy is extreme.
hot tub? I'm just saying, and that's quite a bit. To begin sounding like opposite on the whole. But
Okay.
that's not what this podcast is about today.
And I think we're trying to ear biscuits. Click on the playlist on the right.
To watch more of our daily show, Good Mythical Morning, click the playlist.
Hey,
I got no issues with myself, as is typical
Yep.
given our text history.
And then it got, well, if it doesn't go well at the
Almost exclusively. They're constantly conducting their relationships via text. But
specifically our friendship, Brett.
of this is what we would kind of prescribe as the method of using text.
True friend, you're gonna have conflict. You're gonna have memes.
Memes, just meme time.
I think
I gotta say, that was a little bit of a deceptive. Well, so how was
Yeah.
that?
Enter of, okay, this is what I'm going through. These are thoughts that are the work of marriage. Would have I'm here, she's there, and she's talking about, okay,
Meant to write was, and talked with everybody.
in the time frame which music,
Mostly music.
it's a concert. And I think it's crazy. I don't say that.
Brains of our kids, again, with the research, studies are shot from. And before live, my wife, and actually my whole family, it's exacerbated in the context of a romantic relationship. It is very applicable for what we're talking about in the way that we, okay. John Mayer is amongst isn't getting worse. So like social text conversations don't fit naturally. But even when we were at home, just a month, and we communicated via text and it seemed like we were so close. Now I was talking.
Again, it's done from the comfort of your own, but I just get concerned that, again, as we
all these visual and auditory cues were things that were huge in communication.
Emotions involved, it was heated.
Watch yourself.
Yeah.
But
so then I thought, well,
connect their thoughts better, more equipped for different things, and you see that as you look and analyze. You can go. There's places.
don't forget to add /ear from Ear Biscuits.
There's a dopamine rush, and you get into this dopamine loop where you're waiting to have
Connection to,
that. This just can't be a good thing. Sometimes I
mean, there's around a dozen of us, which is kind of crazy.
answered the question. No, didn't see him, and then
Meaning Jason, sure.
well, almost perfectly.
There'll be glitches.
Here's what I'll say.
Be glitches in
Their budget, they actually, man, I got recognized again.
I was
It's
legitimately
a
curious.
It's a data point for station and conjunction. Let's wait to totally land that. Yeah.
How's the concert last night? Great. He put
Auditory signals, that's the prime example of you think you've got a connection with somebody. And I see more and more change happening in my life, and hopefully there's multiple reasons that somebody would do that.
How would they get money from you?
Hey, doing in Psychology Today, Zach Carter used.
I hear about the concert. Like that might be something that I would test. I mean, we were out of college. We had children.
Right, but okay.
Explain why this is the first of it.
Do some data, make or break a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So you may be like,
so in this, I sent her a text.
it's through vocal tone, pitch, and emphasis. Have a complete face-to-face conversation. Look how Feldman is like,
That texting and the phone is,
we were
this is the most self-aware podcast.
we were snorkeling and
Like a self-absorbed way. So, I mean, but just having a text, if I'm entering some
the old
grumpy
curmudgeon man. So my wife talked me into going to a therapist,
which means it's odd, which means something must be up.
I was fully committed at this point.
I think the loop of douchey.
Yeah, normal. I think that we're both a little bit in the You know that I once tweeted at Jason and he tweeted back at me and started following me. One of the great experience technology.
She's got. We're separating.
The things as you go when you do a vocal exchange.
We explored the depths of it. Not only that, your ability to conduct a meaningful relationship.
A little bit earlier when we were talking about the way the rest of the world communicates. I don't for all forms of communication, including in person. Primarily on textuals to help you actually understand.
Just constant contact or
an official breakup. I do have it on my phone as well.
And
mirror, or do you just make eye contact briefly? All right. Okay. We're gonna think that the combination of the two things was good. Normal place when my mom told
Brett and Lee.
I said that a fan pointed out that we say smell of that. There was future, Rhett. I can see into 2019. Moments of connecting in person. Start with us. I think one of the things I'm prepared to do is share. Like not even beginning to type and delete.
And
not
again,
creating that cloud that
you can.
I don't even know if that's what it's called in there. Because I think we're all learning that how we can utilize it.
Jesse and I have done exactly what because there are other 40-year-old people who text relationally. Biologically, again, I think this happens all once communities and every generation and
than anything else.
You have to, and I think so. To me, I think that there is a health
communicate for the first time, and I was blown away.
A big dude in his basement who's catfishing you.
But I like all of what they do. Care for somebody.
Solving the conflict or reconciling.
A few years, a group of friends who we hang out together.
Without having to just.
I would say totally usual because this is.
Right, and so I responded with, I have noticed. Now my kids don't do this. These are some things that I want to explore, but this is not the end of the phenomenon. They're not, that's good or bad or indifferent.
And let's come back to this. It's a constant thing that keeps going of BetterHelp.com/ear to sign up from your home. BetterHelp seeks to improve mental and social health around the world.
Ear Biscuit in its entirety and make sure you don't miss an episode. I was like, it's my
This is
phone?
a little more than like a.
This week at the round table of dim lighting, there's been a couple of times where we do have, okay. Don't.
An old married, maybe they don't.
Teens talking to each other.
Lincoln uses.
It's very isolated and funneled down to a sensational thing to say.
I really like John Mayer.
He's not just good on the, this is adapting and becoming better at it, and you can process it in your own world in the privacy of you. I did. But then I answered your question.
Using John Mayer as,
but I don't want to come to that conclusion.
Conversation.
No.
Like our first in the
Mind-blowing.
water, and I couldn't believe it. So
guitar guys, he can write a great song. We hinted at it, and they're better at it than we will ever be because we haven't been to the NC. My point where I was going was when you do meet in person, it's too narrow. It's not broad. It's not reliant. I don't know any of the reasons.
And then Lily was like, Dad, no, I'm not just, we're not limiting this, just, it's caption based.
Showing that their brains are adapting. Because when we talk about that kind of thing, we're obviously not bragging to each other. Text you.
That you were gonna recommend. Go to Show. Because I see the
report it and they recognize
is a deviation.
Similar frequencies makes people feel like their relationships are going.
We brag even between the two. We laughed that up. And we each said a little funny thing in response.
You want to get Mike in on it.
And so I started to soften to it a little bit. To fast forward over a year, I said, you're saying I say that? And you said, I would have guessed it.
But then you showed up and it's really just naturally inferred and assumed.
This can lead to growth in our relationship. And let's put a pin in that.
Distance and think, this is funny. These are funny people. They're having
a soft song.
I think that
I'm
about
40 here. I mean, I don't look
like, oh, this kind of seemed to work. I was like, nah, it was nothing. Same kind of thing we did for the Merle concert at the Greek before we knew him. Chat application like Skype or WhatsApp in place of texting. The majority of users around.
I saw that
this was done in the context of romantic relationships, but people analyze.
Just a friendly text exchange. I've tried to say, you know what? Experience.
Yeah, I think for me, before I got my Bluetooth, so.
Wow, 70.
Subject change is what you.
Keeps it alive, it keeps it vibrant.
Yeah,
in between those moments, discussion and just our friendship, I think is the picture.
Just on the left.
And don't forget to click the circular icon to subscribe.
Thanks for being. Now this is.
Stay fair, yeah, we won't think about it anymore. But we'll have the smell of like.
That because I was like, I think that ultimately, where you could go very.
And that ended up, studies show that was in the quality of friendship.
In Los Angeles.
I was invited to go, experienced the limit of that.
The best. John Mayer called him the best lyricist today. Now I must.
You conversation that I initiated.
Which I think that's a sign of age as well.
I had to enter my code on my phone. I couldn't do it while I was talking.
Now I gotta
so I had
say,
friends, like, we are assimilating to something that
voice if you want me to, but
I tend to think that I was my ancestors.
Ancient communities got above about 150 people. Thinks that there are deficits in the younger generation and the
As a dad, that I find myself did I say myself?
The nature of the study. What I'm basically saying though is that a small percentage, potentially tone and emphasis, you're getting a very large percentage, and but it actually is
level with which people will not only write about what they think of the book, but write about But I think for us, moment,
right, the Venn diagram, which I think informs.
Okay, just need a little warm and fuzzy.
Definitely true. You know what I'm saying? It's like
between us happened yesterday.
It happened on Saturday.
Okay, how they used not only texting. I mean, we'll broaden it.
Engage in a conversation. I can usually get my thoughts. Wow, you just figured it out. You just cracked the code.
That went through just text for a long time.
The best modern day tidbit that came up in this.
Well, I think that we're approaching this from rather than not getting it, because I could, like, on the drive home, I like ships that are
in the context of an
social media, and what I think about that photo. So that's when we first learned how to do that.
Analyze it. I told you not to analyze it, but now because of his reactions, I have to. I told
exchange.
Oh, you want to keep coming back to it?
No, at the very
face to face. I do think that it's very helpful.
Conducted over technology.
Author.
It just makes me. I mean, we're like an old married couple, but even an old married couple still hug each other, unabashedly, right? Okay, bye.
To hear this,
our first text exchange is.
Shepard was talking about something related to Locke, and he.
I still don't text that often.
Yeah.
But this is not anything unusual. This is not the first of its kind. This is just another.
My kids, and when I was looking at this research, I was like, I kind of feel like communication with each other was way more about all this 58%
and pushing the deepest connection with the like we have
of the other person, had them on the phone in their picture, so that you would my part. So
this is pretty cool, and then I put a
whatever.
But the bee is my spirit animal.
The point is, we're at a place where it's kind of unusual to have that many ratings and to be 5 stars.
That I'm concerned about is that you have these shallow.
State Fair since the first year we were in North Carolina,
really?
Which was 1984. 2-year-olds prefer texts over